when I joined Alvis in 1944, the founder, Mr. John, was ill and died a little later, and that left Smith-Clarke as the general manager. So he was the general manager and I was an apprentice, so our paths didn't pass then, but I would see him walking round the works occasionally, and incidentally he was always known in Alvis by employees as the captain, and I was told he also had an earlier nickname which was the Black Bat, because he had a very heavy dark moustache. He became the chairman of the Institute of Mechanical Engineers, the automotive division, and he gave a talk about his career in Coventry. And the interesting thing was I went along to this meeting and sat near the front, and he gave this talk, and the one thing I remember is that he had kept his rural Worcestershire accent. I had no direct contact with him, but I think he was well thought of by the people who worked in the company. I spent some time in the service department, and there was a lot of humour there and people playing jokes on each other. I remember one occasion when one of the fitters called Smith, known as Smithy, was sitting under the wing of a Speed 25 doing something to the brakes and suspension, and one of his mates walked by and said, "How you doing, Smithy?" and hit the top of the wing with his fist, and all the mud and the dust fell on top of him. That's the sort of thing they did to each other. The other thing was that they all had benches with drawers underneath, and you pull the drawer out by putting your hand underneath and pulling it. Well, if you wanted to play a joke on somebody, you got a great lump of grease and put it under the drawer, so that when they pull the drawer out, they got their hands covered in grease. It was that sort of thing going on. Well, I left Alvis and went to Cape Engineering in 1956 as a works manager, and he had retired, and because he designed the medical equipment that Cape made, he was a consultant to Cape Engineering, and when I wanted to upgrade my membership of the Institute of Mechanical Engineers, it was suggested that I contact Smith-Clarke and ask him to do this. So that was done, and I went along one day to his bungalow where he lived just outside Coventry, and so I turned up there and met him, and he said, "Would you like to see my workshop?" So he took me down the garden to his workshop, which was very well equipped with lathes and milling machines and drills, etc., and also his shortwave setup, which I knew nothing about. But we had an interesting conversation about the mechanical side of his workshop, and then later on he signed the paperwork for me to become a member of the Institute of Mechanical Engineers. Considered a good place to work in Coventry, and as you say, members of the same family sort of worked for the company. A very, very good atmosphere. Of course, when they started making armoured vehicles. A lot of people came in from the north of England to do the specialist welding, and that really changed the mix.
Yeah.
I was there for 12 years, and it was a very, very happy 12 years. I enjoyed it very much and found it very interesting, and I look back with affection.